Are you thinking about buying a farm here in Nicaragua? Maybe you want to build a beautiful homestead where you can come vacation with your family and skip your winters in your country if you have really bad winters. But what about if you want to turn that farm into a business and just make it make money, In today's video, I'm going to share with you my 5 tips about buying a farm here in Nicaragua. Things can get very complicated, frustrating, and confusing if it's your first time. So my goal with this video is to give you the knowledge. That way, if you do buy a farm here, you have the experience and you can do it like a pro. My name is Elton and I've been living in Nicaragua for 2 years. I have experience building coffee farms. I bought and sold land. I bought and sold cars. I have a lot of experience with just the way of life in Nicaragua. In this channel, I love sharing my experiences so that way you can learn and we can both learn together and have a better experience every time we come out here. So let's go ahead and get started with my 5 useful tips about buying a farm here in Nicaragua. Tip number 1 really sets the foundation to your whole process buying a farm here and your experience. So my recommendation is be clear with the intentions on why you want to buy a farm. Now, buying a farm can represent a lot of things. Do you want to buy a farm to build a homestead, or do you want to buy a farm to build a business? Those are 2 completely different things. What I've seen happens a lot here in Nicaragua is that they're never clear with their intentions. So they come here, it's either a business or a homestead, and then soon there's a lot of money you have to spend when you buy a farm, especially if you buy a lot of acreage, because you need to pay people to live on the farm, pay people to maintain the farm. So if you are not clear with what you want, then it's going to be difficult to just kind of see the overall picture come together. So if you want a homestead, that is perfectly fine. Check out this beautiful homestead that we're at right now. This is my grandma's homestead. All we have here is a house. We have some cows, some goats, a river. We have mango trees, cacao trees. And it's a nice little homestead where you can come and spend a few days and the weekend and just disconnect and just have a good time. Now this farm here, it produces food, it produces milk, but it doesn't produce cash. So if your goal is to produce cash and make it a business, then you're going to be looking at another style farm. So once you sit down with your family or your business partner and you're very clear on what you want from a farm and your intentions, then it's going to make your farm buying and building your farm here a lot more successful, and you're going to enjoy it more. So let's move on to tip numero 2, number 2. So tip number 2, location. Location is very important. But your location is going to be determined on what you're looking for by your intentions, like I mentioned in tip number 1. So once you realize that maybe you want 20 acres, 10 hectares, but your condition is that you're close to the beach, then you know that that's going to put you in a certain area of Nicaragua, more than likely the Pacific side coastline of Nicaragua. That's where everyone goes to buy their land if they want to be close to the beach. You can look into the Caribbean side, but it's not as developed. There's really no tourism over there and no expats over there, so it's more living off the grid if that's what you really like. You can come and explore here. But let's say you want to build a cattle ranch, then a cattle ranch is going to get you away from the Pacific side. It'll get you more up north in the center of Nicaragua, where you can get more rain and you can grow pastures to feed your cows. So it really depends what kind of farm you want. So once you're clear on the farm you want and what you need, it's going to pinpoint you to the right location in Nicaragua. Maybe you want some cooler weather and not hot weather, because it does get pretty hot in Nicaragua. Then you would come up north near where I live, where we have the high elevations up in the mountains, and in the mornings it's very cool and at night it's cool and you see the mist, right? Or you want the heat, then you would go closer south. So really the location is going to be determined on the conditions that you want, and then you can start looking around and exploring. If you have any questions on the locations, you can just message me and I'll help you out with that. But that's why it's important to know your intentions and what you want, your requirements with that farm there, and it's going to pinpoint you to the right locations of Nicaragua that you can come and explore. Let's move on to tip numero 3, number 3. So tip number 3, the buying part and the paperwork. It's very important, the paperwork here. So let me tell you, let's say that you find the farm and you really love this farm, and now what you need to do is enter into the negotiation phase. I've seen a lot of different deals structured here. A lot of like trading happens in Nicaragua. For example, if you have a brand new truck and the guy has the piece of land, you can tell him, I'll trade my truck and give you that piece of land. Or if you already have an existing house in Nicaragua, you tell him, I'll trade you my house for your piece of land. So that does happen a lot. Even if you put something for sale in Nicaragua, more than likely someone's going to offer you to trade. Trading is one way to buy in the farm. Second way that I've seen here in Nicaragua is payment structure. If the owner is not in a rush to sell, you could ask him if he's willing to do a payment structure. So maybe you give 50% down and then you're giving $10,000 a month until you pay it off, or whatever X amount you guys can agree upon. Of course, he's gonna need contract and collateral from your side, but if the owner is willing to do this, then that's a good deal because you can pay down the farm slowly and then you have yourself a farm, and hopefully with 0 interest rate, and you just do the contract to be able to pay it. The third way is to buy it out, just cash, fully out of the pocket, and then just have everything be done with, which I think it's the best way. But if you really want to go into a property and you don't have all the cash and you can pay monthly, maybe you can find a deal that way here in Nicaragua. There's a lot of bargaining and those kind of deals structured here in Nicaragua. But most importantly, when you agree on the price and agree on the payment structure, then the paperwork. It is important that you check the paperwork here in Nicaragua. It is known that here in Nicaragua, the paperwork is not very efficient. It's slow. A lot of old paperwork moving around and the systems are outdated. So make sure that you have the paperwork looked at by a lawyer that you trust and that everything's in order, the farm is registered, all the taxes are paid up to date, and there isn't anything backlogged. Now, if the paperwork is not in order, it's not a deal breaker. You don't have to walk away, but what you can do is use it as a negotiation tool to try to bring down the price with the owners. You can tell them, hey, look, the paperwork's a mess. It's been outdated for 2 decades. We need to bring it back up to speed. We need to pay X, Y, and Z and pay these taxes. Can you bring down your price so I can bring the paperwork up to the way it should be? So those are things that you have to look at. Now, don't be surprised if it's going to take a long time to go through the paperwork and all these loops and jumps that you have to take in order to get it done. It's just part of the process. Be patient. It will be done. And once it's done in your hands, then you'll forget about the pain once you start diving into your new farm. Now let me show you around a little bit of what kind of homestead you can get in Nicaragua. This is my grandma's homestead here, and this is about 5 hectares of land. And in this land, it's very peaceful. We're right next to a river. You have all kinds of fruit trees. Since it is tropical weather here in Nicaragua, you can grow mangoes, you can grow papayas, you can grow anything that you can think of, like vegetables year-round, tomatoes, cilantro. It's just very fertile land. And then this homestead here, right now at my grandma's property, is she has some goats, some cows, some pasture, and it's really used for relaxation. You just come out here, you eat, you relax, and you go to the river to enjoy a nice time. Let me show you guys the river here. So tip numero 4, number 4, building on your land and projects. Just realize that when you do buy the farm, hopefully you're aware of all the conditions. Where's the existing water? Where does the wind blow? How many trees you got on there? It just all matters, trust me, because buying a farm, everything comes together at the end. You have to look at the condition of the fencing around your property line, because if that is in bad condition, that's a big spend immediately when you come into your farm. So there's gonna be a lot of projects that you need to take on, and if you wanna build, that's gonna be a massive project too. So the tips I can give you for this is just know that it takes time to build here in Nicaragua. Everything moves at a slower pace. Finding the right people to build your project is highly important, okay? There's a lot of people that start building and they don't have the right experience. There really isn't any building codes here in Nicaragua, so it's up to your own risk to build your house. So finding the right people to build your home, it's critical and it takes time. So don't rush into finding someone. Take your time, talk to locals, other foreigners, and see if you can get a good recommendation. Number 3 is always supervise your projects. If you're building a house, don't just trust that it's getting built correctly. Just go ahead and stop by, take a look at things, ask questions, and just monitor the progress to make sure everything is done correctly. I've taken a while to find people I trust and I build with, because I've had to supervise a lot of workers and then realize that they weren't doing a good job and have to go find other people. So there are good workers in Nicaragua, and when it comes to construction, you just gotta find them and take your time. And once you do, just work well with them, and in the future, you have a key there to build anything else you want. Now, before we jump into tip number 5, I just realized that I should give you guys a tip of where to find things for sale here in Nicaragua. Now, you can go to encuentra24.com. I'm listed below here. And that is just a classified page in Nicaragua. There you can find everything. You can find people looking for work, maybe construction workers. You can find housing for rent, housing for sale, cars, everything that you can think of, you can find in that page. If you can't find it there, then you can also use Facebook Marketplace. That's been a good place for me to find items for sale. That's where I found my truck for sale and a couple other stuff, and I've sold things also in the past. Another way is to go into Google and look at local real estate agents to see what they're offering. Some of them have built their own websites and their own real estate platform where you can search lots for sale or farms. My favorite way to find something for sale is to explore. Get a vehicle, drive around Nicaragua, find a place you really like, and then see if you can find something for sale there. Or sometimes ask around. By word of mouth, you'll find hidden gems at a good price, and you can work with the owner because they're willing to sell and they're not in any classifieds, so that's the perfect deal for me there. So hopefully these tips right here help you out when you're looking for the property for sale. Let's move on to number 5. So tip number 5 really is just an explanation of the people of Nicaragua. Just know that your whole process, it's gonna involve people. And that's gonna be the key to your success. Finding the right people to help you make that deal, finding the people you trust, and finding the people you can work with. Now, if you have a language barrier, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult. It's not impossible, it's doable, but just take more of your time to make sure that you find someone you trust and work with a translator so you don't lose things within translation and there's confusion. I've seen a lot of people buy property here and they've done it just fine, but just know that it's a people game. It's finding the right people here. It's taken me a while to find people I trust. And I think that just goes around the world in general, that rule. It's just find good people to work with, someone that you can trust and feel comfortable with. And it's gonna make your whole experience a lot better. A lot of people here prefer to go buy property from foreign real estate agents because they speak the language, they have everything set in order, and it's safe for them. So if that's what you're looking for, go online. There's a lot of them on there. But if you're willing to go off the beaten path a little bit to see something else and maybe you find something better at a better price, then that's gonna require some exploring. You're gonna have to put your boots on the ground, get around, explore, talk to people, and to me, that's where you find the hidden gems there. But you just have to know what you're looking for and just be honest with yourself, and that's gonna really help you find that right farm and get into that farm life that you want. So why would you want to buy a farm in Nicaragua? Well, if you want to disconnect and have a place where you can be embedded with nature and just have peace and quiet, then Nicaragua is a good option because you get a lot of value for your dollar. Not only that, the people are amazing here and you have perfect weather year-round. Hopefully this video helped you with those 5 tips. I leave links below on all my videos there if you want to contact me, or maybe you want to try some coffee from my coffee farm there. You can click on the link. I'll see you guys in the next video. Like, share, and subscribe most importantly so we can get this channel up and going. Hasta luego, mi amigos.